Silverstone. Well, currently Silverstone is the home of both motorcycle and car GPs, so it's kind of the heart of racing in the UK. I've raced at Silverstone for many years now and seen how the circuit's evolved from basically the original airfield circuit, which was a perimeter road around the outside of the airfield, and as it's developed over the years, it's developed into a multi-complex area with several circuits, and the circuits themselves have changed and nipped up and altered over the years. Currently there's 3 layouts. You've got the main GP circuit, then you've got a national circuit and an international circuit which can be run concurrently, or the GP circuit, which obviously encapsulates both of them. Silverstone's main feature is it's very fast, wide and open. The track width is enormous. It's fantastic in that respect. There's virtually no incline. There's very slight climbs and rises, but virtually nothing worth talking about. And because it's so open, the barriers are well back away from the track. It's quite fast, and there's some really spectacularly quick corners on the circuit. But also because of the different layouts which are put together, you've got like a hairpin section, and you've got long 180-degree corners, multi-corner complexes, chicanes. It's got just about everything that you want. One of my favourite bits I like at Silverstone is the run up what is the start-finish straight for the F1 past the F1 pits, and then you come into a really fast right-hander called Abbey, and then immediately into a really fast long left-hand corner called Farm. A few little ripples as you enter Abbey, and then a few more ripples as you change in direction and then run into Farm. Extremely high speed approach. It's all about commitment. The pit lane wall is on your right hand side, so you can't really see that the exit of the corner, but because it's kind of so open after you leave the pit lane wall, the circuit allows you to sort of feel nice and safe even though you're absolutely on the limit of grip. It's one of those kind of spectacular sort of sections where keeping up momentum and flow is really important. Great corner. One of the things I dislike about it sometimes is the fact that because it is so wide and open, it can be quite difficult sometimes to get reference points. So sometimes people say, for instance, I'm not quite sure where I am on the circuit, or one part of the circuit looks the same as the other part. But once you've been there a few times and you've started to build up like a library of track position and reference points, once you have found them, it's not too bad at all. But building up those references can be hard work. Probably the most tricky section on the circuit is turn 3 and 4 and 5 essentially, which is Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, which is a really high speed multi-apex, multi-cornered section, and each of the corners is a slightly different radius, and distances between the 2 corners change, and what tends to happen is that you're decelerating through the corners, so it's quite difficult sometimes to figure out whether you should try and keep a momentum up. Track position's tricky as well, because depending on what you're trying to get out of it, but you've got to put effectively 3 corners, try to get the most out of those 3 corners and figure out what it is. So it's a very complex section. It looks fairly easy on the map, but trust me, it isn't. My lasting memory of Silverstone goes back many years, even though I've done loads and loads of racing there. Right back to 1984, when I was racing a 250LC in what was then the top British Clubman's Championship, which is called the Marlborough Clubman's Championship. And I was racing a 250LC, and regulations have changed in racing, how they form on the grid, how many allowed on the track, and I swear to God there must have been about 70 of us on track. I was, I think, on row 8, which is like I could hardly see the flag drop in there because there was no lights. So it was really difficult to get away on the start in the blue haze of smoke. But absolutely amazing race. Had for me a particularly good race. It took me ages to sort of work my way through, and I got with a group of riders which I knew were kind of front runner riders, I thought, I'm there, I'm right at the front, because I'd passed loads and loads and loads of people. So I got amongst what I thought was the leading group and was kind of trying to put as much tactical riding into it as much as possible. But the original circuit was extremely fast, and the 250LC kind of wasn't. So the bikes were pretty much flat out for about 97% of the lap. couple of dabs of brake here and there, but it was basically slipstreaming and flat out, very difficult to break away. So I stayed with the group, and it was a last corner thing, and managed to finish a very close second, only to be found out ultimately that there was a breakaway group, so I ended up 5th in the race. For me, it was still a great race, but it did highlight for future events the importance of some sort of pit board would have told me that. Whether I could have done anything about it's another story, but absolutely fantastic standout memory for me. Get on board for just $5 a month to see my exclusive content. But if you like what I do, you can subscribe on higher tiers for greater rewards.